Ennis and Xander Zayas. It's a fight that's got a lot of people talking. What's your perspective on Boots versus Xander as we head into the fight?
Everybody says that Boots is, all that. And I remember his two brothers, and neither of them had the biggest heart, and neither had the greatest chins. And especially the one didn't have a big heart, and neither of them had good chins. And I, I'm not saying those things are hereditary, but we've never really seen Boots get clipped on the chin. And I'm not saying that um, Xander Zayas is a puncher, because he's not, but I think this is a better fight than everybody thinks it is. I think it's a more competitive fight than everybody thinks it is. And I also believe that whoever's going to win is going to have to give 1,000% of themselves. It's not going to be a walk in the park for Boots. And I think it's one thing about Boots, he's flat-footed, and Xander's got really good foot speed, good mobility, good agility. And I think that fight's going to be something that we're going to remember for at least till Monday morning.
Okay, well that's better than a lot of fights in boxing these days. So I'll take that.
There you go.
You mentioned Boots having no heart due to his brothers and things like that. Well,
no, I didn't say he didn't have any heart, but those are at the bit. No chin and no heart's a question mark for me.
Okay, well I've spoken to you, and I know you have some other reasons as to why you feel that way. Remember, you told me a story about Boots one time.
About in sparring?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's just more proves what I'm saying to you.
What was it? What was it that you heard about Boots in sparring? Are you allowed to share that?
No, I'd rather not. But I don't like to tell Jim tales publicly. But it's like the Spadafora thing with Mayweather. In truth, let's put it this way to you, that he didn't exactly exhibit the biggest heart in the gym with 16-ounce gloves on and headgear.
Okay. Well, from the Xander side of things, Rick, the narrative has been that he's biting off more than he can chew. It's too early. I know that you've spoken to a lot of the same people I've spoken to from the Top Rank side of things that didn't want him to take this fight. What's your view?
Well, they didn't want to have him take the Abbas fight either, and he handled that one easily.
Yeah.
So I just think they don't have a lot of confidence in Zayas, and I think that's part of the problem. They may be right here, don't get me wrong, but they weren't right against Abbas, because he handled Abbas relatively easily.
Okay, so you're saying that Xander knows best?
No,
in this case,
saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying to you, you got to give the guy a lot of credit for having the guts to do this, the balls, got the heart to do this, and I think that stands for a lot. That tells you a lot right there. Now, when he's making these decisions, he's not getting hit in the face at that point in time. So who knows what happens in the ring? But you know what? I think he's an exceptional person of strong character and strong fortitude. And I think beating a boss goes a long way for me.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely a really good fight to take, after just becoming champion. A lot of fighters want to run to that fight. They would take the easy defense. So respect to Xander.
No question about it.
One of the things that I recently it came to my attention, Rick, is that even though Boots has 12 more fights than Xander, they boxed damn near the same amount of rounds. Boots has boxed 125 rounds over his 35 fights. Xander's boxed 124 rounds over his 23 fights. So what kind of stock do you put into that? The amount of rounds they boxed in the professional ranks?
Nothing at all. One guy's been a world champion at the one weight class down and moved up. And the other guy's now a one division unified champ. They're 23 and 28 years old. Xander's strong. He's got good balance. It's a good fight. We'll let the best man win.
May the best man win. Well, you had an interesting tweet, Rick. You said on your Twitter account that if no matter how good Jaron Ennis is, you feel like he could never be the face of boxing. Why do you feel that way?
Because it's hard to be the face of boxing when you're fighting on an app and behind two paywalls. One is you have to be part of the zone, to be, the subscriber, and then you got to buy the pay-per-view. So
But
it's
isn't
how
everybody fighting on an app? Or isn't the whole sport of boxing at these days fighting on an app?
more or less, but it's hard to be the face of boxing to fight on an app. In other words, they're all going to be equal. Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense. So that means pretty much like, at least in America, like no one could really be the face of boxing because the zone has consolidated.
1,000% correct. Absolutely spot on.
Okay.
I think there's going to be about 15 fighters are going to be equal going forward. Maybe 10 or 12. I might be wrong there, but it's going to be a lot of fighters. It's not going to be a face of boxing.
Do you think that that's good for the sport of boxing moving forward, or do you think that that's bad?
Yeah, it's good because you've got a lot of guys that can be popular without being exciting. Like Shakur is popular without being exciting. Devin Haney's popular without being exciting.
They win.
Yeah, because they win, and they're what they're called stylists. They're the Mayweather type style, slick, smart. They're good looking. I just think that this day and age, we're not going to have a face of boxing. We're not going to have a Sugar Ray Leonard. We're not going to have a whoever was in the face of boxing along. We're not going to have a Mike Tyson. Now, if we get a heavyweight that can really knock a wall down and something like that, is it possible that they gravitate towards one guy? Yes, but let's not count out American heavyweights doing much.
Oh no, we don't have any heavyweights to speak of though. They all get knocked out when it counts.
Yeah, I would rather watch you eat a buffet than take the chance of American heavyweight making it.
I'm with you on that one. But Rick, the comment section, they're really spirited right now about this whole Boots thing. So right here, this guy says that because Boots' brother didn't have a chin, does that mean Boots doesn't have a chin? That doesn't make any sense.
No, not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to you that neither brother had a good chin and one of them didn't have a heart. That's not a good sign. I'm not saying it's hereditary, but it's not good. Their father trained all three guys. It just doesn't sit well with me.
Philadelphia fighters are known for like the gym wars and sometimes leaving the best pieces of themselves in the gym. Could that be a concern for Jaron Ennis going into this fight, Rick?
No, because he's not going to fight. He's not sparring with guys that are nearly as good as him. In other words, in a prior era of boxing, like 30 years ago, you had 10 animals in the same gym. Now, when you got a top guy with Boots Ennis, you got to bring sparring partners in. So they're only in there for about 2 weeks. So no.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Wait, does that make sense?
No, that makes sense because I know back in the day, like Pernell Whitaker and a lot of these guys, they would have a couple future world champions or world champions in their camp.
Yeah,
you could put together a card with a lot.
We're not that lucky today. They're all prima donnas today.
Yeah, boxing is not like it used to be.
No.
But you mentioned this fight being better than people think it'll be. Do you think it's a tougher fight for Jaron Ennis than Virgil Ortiz?
Do I think what? I'm sorry?
Do you think Xander Zayas is a tougher opponent for Jaron Ennis than Virgil Ortiz?
Oh, Virgil Ortiz could punch a hole in a wall, and he can really punch. So no, and he's physically very strong, and no, Virgil Ortiz is a real fighter. I'm not saying that Boots may not prove to be better, but he can punch. He's strong. He's got great balance. He's tenacious. One thing about Xander, which I don't like, is that if he sees an opening or you make an error, he can't fulfill with a knockout punch. Virgil could end you.
Boots was saying that he feels Xander can do more in the ring than Virgil. That Virgil just kind of more of a straightforward fighter. He's more one dimensional. He just got power. What do you think?
I mean, that's like comparing that would be like comparing a freight train to a snake. I mean, it's, you know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's got their own Everybody's got their own attributes and their best qualities and things like that, and those come out. Those attributes come out against different boxing styles. Depends on who they're fighting.
Yeah.
So, in other words, a guy who's not a puncher, okay, like Xander needs a better footwork to get away from a boots, the onslaught, where Virgil doesn't need the better footwork because he can stand there and bang, and he can take your head off. So because Xander doesn't have that knockout punch, he's got to do more physically, use his feet with agility, and show a bigger ring IQ, where the other guy can walk straight in and bang. So it's a different style altogether. So it depends on who you're fighting, where those attributes would show up or they wouldn't show up. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense. Different fighters bring out different things,
Right.
Different challenges. I get it.
Right. Just like when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Tommy Hearns, he stood in the back on the outside and boxed with Hearns. Okay, where when he fought Duran the first time, he rumbled with him on the inside. Then in the second fight, he boxed Duran on the inside when he realized the first time didn't work too well. So you bring different things. You have to bring a plan A, a plan B, and some of your attributes show up more against one fighter, even if they're the same category as class A fight. Let's say A top fighters, top world champ, and top couple fighters in the world. It just depends on the style that you're dealing with. That's all there is to it.
Correct. They want those gym stories, Rick. They want gym stories, and they want you to make a pick. So do you have a pick? And
well, the wisdom pick is Boots, but I think it's a much better fight. I don't think it's everybody thinks you can walk across the ring like Mike Tyson did to Carl the Truth Williams and knock his ass out. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's the kind of fight either, unless of course Xander gets hit with that big right hand over the top, because sometimes Xander can get hit with that shot. But
I don't think Xander's going to be standing there. I think he's going to show high ring IQ, good jab on him, and stuff like that. How would you like to take Peter Kahn's blood pressure ringside?
Well, I can't even get a hold of Peter Kahn these days. Peter Kahn's a well sought after man. It takes like 3 months to get a message back from Peter Kahn.
That's pretty sad. If you call me, I'm calling you back within minutes, buddy.
But shout out to Peter Kahn. I still got love for him. They want to know from you, Rick, can Boots land those wide shots that he loves throwing against the pressure fighters? What do you think?
It's hard to say. Like Saturday night's going to be true serum for both guys. So I don't know. Let's see what happens Saturday night. We're gonna know a lot about both guys at the end of Saturday night. It might be one of those fights that Boots wins a great fight and Xander loses close. And at the end of the fight, you say, "Well, Xander's stock rose, and the other guys went down." Even though that Ennis has both belts, because everybody's expecting so much of Ennis, and nobody's expecting much of Xander.
Well, that's like Max Kellerman would always say, that sometimes you can lose the fight, but you can win the story of the fight, the narrative of the fight.
Right. Yeah. Well, Max is shot, so he can't go by it. He must have said that years ago.
Prime Max, old Max. Back in the day. Back in the day before he was.
It ain't lately, I'll tell you that, because he's completely out to lunch.
I mean,
comparing Kellen Walsh to Joe Calzaghe.
What do you think is worse? That's pretty bad.